Could you ever imagine the basketball world turning completely upside down? Seeing two titans who define an era of rivalry finally unite on the same court? Doesn't the very thought of it just send shivers down your spine? A mix of disbelief and pure, unadulterated excitement? Well, hold on to your hats, because a blockbuster trade pitch has emerged that could potentially land LeBron James right next to Stephen Curry in Golden State, a scenario that would redefine the term super team. For the past few years, the Golden State Warriors have been on a relentless quest to recapture that magical lightning in a bottle from their 2022 championship run. After a couple of disappointing second-round exits and a heartbreaking play-in loss, the pressure has been mounting to find that perfect roster combination around the incomparable Stephen Curry. Many believe they found their ideal star pairing by adding Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline last season, a move that promised so much. Unfortunately, injuries cruelly crushed their playoff aspirations, preventing that duo from truly reaching its full potential. But what if the answer to their woes isn't just another star, but the star, the undisputed king himself? Considering persistent injury woes that seem to plague every team, the Warriors might be wise to swing for the fences and make an unprecedented splash this summer. As boldly suggested by Dan Angel of Fantasy Sports on SI, Golden State could orchestrate a monumental deal for none other than LeBron James. The proposed trade is a jaw-dropping proposition. The Warriors would receive LeBron James and his son, Bronny James, a move that will fulfill LeBron's long-held desire to play alongside his son. In return, the Los Angeles Lakers would acquire Jimmy Butler and a 2028 first-round pick. On paper, this deal appears almost too good to pass up for either side, a rare win-win in the cutthroat world of NBA transactions. While it would undoubtedly be tough for the Lakers to part ways with the sheer superstardom and global appeal that comes with LeBron, Butler would represent a more natural, defensively minded fit alongside Luka Doncic, potentially creating a formidable two-way backcourt. Meanwhile, for the Warriors, this move is a no-brainer. Imagine the seamless integration. LeBron James, with his unparalleled court vision and playmaking, perfectly complementing Stephen Curry's off-ball wizardry and historic shooting. James could shoulder more of the on-ball creation duties, significantly lessen the load on the greatest shooter in league history, allowing Curry to conserve energy and unleash his offensive brilliance in even more devastating ways. This isn't just a trade. It's a dream scenario, a chance to see two of the greatest players of all time, who once waged epic NBA Finals battles, unite for one last glorious championship push. While a deal of this seismic magnitude is undeniably a long shot, the sheer thought of James and Curry fighting for a title on the same team is enough to ignite the imagination of every basketball fan on the planet. But while we can dream of such seismic shifts in hypothetical super teams, the reality for the Golden State Warriors this offseason have been far more grounded and, frankly, a lot more complicated, especially concerning one of their promising young talents. The NBA offseason, for all intents and purposes, is largely over, despite a few lingering restricted free agency situations, like the one involving Jonathan Kuminga, remaining unresolved. As players and team personnel enjoy much-needed vacations in August, all attention will soon pivot to training camp and preseason preparations after Labor Day. For Kuminga and the Warriors, however, the focus remains squarely on finding a resolution to his restricted free agency standoff, a situation that has become a major headache for the organization. Before free agency even began, the goal from both parties seemed simple enough: find another team for Kuminga via a sign-in trade. Despite the Warriors, particularly owner Joe Lacob, consistently expressing high hopes for Kuminga's development and potential, it has become abundantly clear over the last year that the 22-year-old forward is ready to move on. Between his frustratingly inconsistent minutes and reports of him losing faith in head coach Steve Kerr, culminating in him not even seeing the court late in the 2024-25 season, all signs this offseason pointed towards Kuminga and the Warriors parting ways. It certainly didn't help matters that the two sides were miles apart in contract extension negotiations even before the 2024-25 season tipped off. While Kuminga would likely remain with the Warriors for the time being, if he were to receive an offer in the $30 million per year range, no such offer has materialized. Kuminga and his camp's primary objective entering the offseason was to secure long-term financial stability. However, That goal quickly shifted given the hardships and frustrations faced with the Warriors, as Kuminga now appears to have absolutely no desire to return and once again endure an inconsistent role that stunts his overall development, as talented as he could be in this league. Kuminga will simply never be at the forefront of the Dubs' plans as long as Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green are present. As a result, Kuminga and his representation have engaged in extensive discussions with several teams around the league regarding a potential sign-in trade, with the Sacramento Kings looming large as the former 7th overall pick's top suitor.
What was initially expected to be a vast and competitive market for Kuminga this offseason ultimately never truly materialized. The Miami Heat, long rumored as a potential suitor for Kuminga, never genuinely pursued him. A similar situation unfolded with the Chicago Bulls, given their own restricted free agency dilemma with Josh Giddey. Although the Warriors and Bulls had brief discussions about Kuminga at the start of free agency, it quickly became evident that Chicago was singularly focused on resolving Giddey's contract situation and retaining him before entertaining any other possibilities. At no point did the two sides even discuss a Kuminga-Giddey swap, nor are the Warriors actively pursuing the Australian guard. Another team that expressed interest in Kuminga via a sign-and trade was the Phoenix Suns. However, a significant factor from Golden State's perspective in any potential sign-and trade is their staunch refusal to take back long-term salary, and that's precisely all the Suns had to offer with players like Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. It's also worth mentioning that the Milwaukee Bucks briefly entertained the idea of pursuing Kuminga. If they were to do so, the Warriors made it clear they would demand Bobby Portis in a sign-and-trade scenario, a non-starter for Milwaukee, who were unwilling to part with him. The Dubs, notably, have held interest in Portis dating back to before the 2024 NBA trade deadline. This leaves the Sacramento Kings as seemingly the sole viable destination for Kuminga if a sign-and-trade is to develop at this late stage of the offseason. Yet, the Warriors have shown considerable hesitation in these trade negotiations, shrewdly taking full advantage of Kuminga's restricted free agent status. If the trade isn't to their liking, Golden State has signaled they simply won't make a deal. That's precisely where things stand with the Kings after their latest offer. Sacramento genuinely believes in Kuminga's potential and value, which is why they are reportedly willing to commit to a 3-year, $63 million contract for him. Obviously, this would necessitate a sign-and trade, as the Kings are currently about $7 million away from their first apron hard cap. After initially offering a package of Dario Saric, Devin Carter, and a protected first-round pick, the Kings shifted their proposal to Malik Monk and a 2030 first-round pick with protections, according to Sam Amick of The Athletic. That is the offer that currently stands: Monk and a protected first-round pick for Kuminga. Even if the Warriors were to secure an unprotected first-round pick, the question remains: is this truly enough for Golden State to finalize a trade? While their fans might be excited by Monk's scoring abilities off the bench, there's far more to this potential sign-and-trade than a simple one-for-one transaction. The Warriors have been remarkably consistent in their approach to Jonathan Kuminga's situation this offseason. Aside from their clear reluctance to take back long-term salaries in a potential sign-and trade, which is precisely the case with Monk being under contract through the 2027-28 season, Golden State also desperately wants to avoid being hard-capped at the first apron again. During the 2024-25 season, the Warriors found themselves severely restricted in building out the back end of their roster due to these hard cap limitations, which made even acquiring Jimmy Butler a tight squeeze. To maintain maximum flexibility to pursue other star players who might become available in the future, the Dubs absolutely do not want to be hard capped. Taking back more salary with Monk compared to Kuminga's would-be base year compensation in a sign-and trade would immediately hard cap the Warriors. The only way to circumvent this would be to send out even more salary to the Kings or a third team in the form of players like Moses Moody or Buddy Hield. That, however, is not an option for the Dubs, as they hold no desire to trade either player in a package with Kuminga just to acquire Monk and concede to the young forward's demands. Since he is a restricted free agent, the Warriors have operated firmly in the driver's seat, fully aware that they hold the keys to Kuminga's future. Unless they get the trade they want, which has not happened to this point, the Warriors have unequivocally signaled that they will not be pressured into a deal. Entering August, the team effectively cut off all sign-and-trade avenues, and Golden State is now essentially telling Kuminga he won't be on another team to start the 2025-26 season. There have been no ongoing trade conversations with the Kings since their last offer involving Monk. Not much value has presented itself to the Warriors this offseason in potential Kuminga trades, which is why the organization remains comfortable with the idea of retaining him. A 2-year, $45 million contract is currently on the table, leaving Kuminga with two stark options at this juncture. Either remain with the Warriors on this 2-year proposal or accept his $7.9 million qualifying offer. While it's always possible that the two sides could eventually negotiate some sort of compromise, the Warriors are currently standing firm on this 2-year offer, which notably includes a team option in year 2, and would require Kuminga to waive the no-trade clause he would receive. As one could easily assume, this hasn't sat well with Kuminga or his representation, especially considering their fundamental desire not to be back with Golden State in the first place. This is precisely why the $7.9 million qualifying offer still remains a potent option and is being utilized as a significant threat from Kuminga's side. The ultimate bluff that Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the Warriors front office are currently calling out is whether Kuminga would truly sacrifice over $14 million in guaranteed money and the possibility of over $20 million in the second year of his contract with the team option. Are sign-and-trade scenarios fully off the table at this juncture? That, too, remains an open question. Despite making it clear that they aren't interested in talking about more sign-and-trade scenarios, the Warriors will always listen to offers that come their way. Should the right deal present itself, Golden State would obviously seize the opportunity. However, at this point in the offseason, it appears that the Kings' offer is the best one that has materialized. With the potential signings of Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton, and others lined up, the Warriors are undoubtedly hoping for a swift resolution to Kuminga's restricted free agency.
From Kuminga's point of view, he is in absolutely no rush to give in to Golden State's demands. When will a solution finally come about? Kuminga is not budging and continues to passively let it be known that he does not wish to return to the Warriors. If he is indeed be back with Golden State, nobody expects it to be a long-term marriage, and Kuminga will make sure it's on his terms. At least, that's the perception being received as a direct result of this standoff, continuing into mid-August. From Kuminga's perspective, if the Warriors don't want to trade him to the Kings, he could continue playing hardball and ultimately put the franchise in a very tough spot by accepting his qualifying offer. This move would essentially ensure that Golden State cannot trade him during the 2025-26 season. But at what cost Kuminga himself? Would this truly be a smart decision for a young player still desperately looking for an opportunity to prove himself in this league, sacrificing significant guaranteed money in the process? One could also point to serious concerns about what his role would even be should Kuminga accept the qualifying offer. It simply doesn't seem like a smart route for him, especially considering that his value could be severely damaged if he accepts such a low offer just to become an unrestricted free agent in 2026, only to barely play this upcoming year. Tension would undoubtedly exist between the two sides, creating a truly toxic situation for everyone involved. On the flip side of things, outside of the qualifying offer, Kuminga will continue to push back on this 2-year, $45 million contract the Warriors have offered. If he is to waive the no-trade clause in the deal, then Kuminga and his camp have signaled they want a player option over a team option. The Warriors, for their part, have not changed and do not appear willing to change this proposal. Until either side budges, this frustrating situation will continue to drag out. As a whole, the restricted free agent market, which is also impacting the fates of players like Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas, is expected to continue well past Labor Day on September 1st. Obviously, anything can happen at any time, but the prevailing sense around the NBA is that all 4 restricted free agents will ultimately decide their fates right before the deadlines to do so at the start of training camp. Both Kuminga and the Warriors believe they hold significant leverage over one another, which is precisely why zero progress has been made over the last several weeks. All that is known at this time is that the Dubs are standing firm and don't appear to be on the verge of any sign-in trade with the Kings. So, what do you make of these incredible developments? Both the dream scenario of LeBron and Curry and the very real, very tense standoff with Jonathan Kuminga? Which path do you think the Warriors should take? And how do you see this Kuminga situation playing out? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive insightful, please hit that like button. Your engagement helps us bring you more of the in-depth analysis you crave.